Welcome back. We are here for another episode of the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine. And on the road to the 200th episode, the last stop, we have Mr. Bobby Orlando.
What
How
is
are we doing, my
up?
friend?
Sorry, I interrupted your intro. I jumped the
You're
gun.
good.
I'm doing good. How are you,
I,
my
I,
friend?
I'm excited. This is the last stop on the road to 200. Last stop on the road to Bloodstone. I'm excited to get you on here. We met, last Bloodstone event. We've made this work. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I just had your one of your trainers on from TNA, Brian Myers.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm excited to learn more about what it was like working with him, what it was like working with Bloodstone, and much more.
Hell yeah.
Um, before we dive in, you want to plug any social medias, upcoming events you got for February, things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we just talked about it. Technically, my first uh, booking for February is February 1st, which is Creative Pro. I'm not sure if this will air before or after, but we're in Chicago for Bloodstone on February 6th, and then the following day we're a little bit to I'm bad with geography. I guess we're a little bit to the south of that. We are in LaSalle, Illinois for Dreamwave, and then a couple weeks after that, or the week after that, we have Blitzkrieg in Connecticut, all bouncing around the country. And I'm at the Bobby Orlando on all social media.
Easy. I'm guessing that's where we can get all updates on where they can check you out.
Yeah, I post my monthly schedules on like the first or like the day before the first of the month, and then I post my weekend schedules like a few days before the weekend before it happens.
I like it. I like the organization. I wish I could get there, but it's tough.
You just gotta be on it. You just gotta
um,
be on top of your game.
it's a learning curve. I'll be honest. I mean, let's dive right into Bloodstone. Seeing how we're here, let's promote it. I'll be there in attendance. One of the sponsors for the event. You were taking on Alfonso Gonzalez, who you faced last month in a triple threat, also with Sean Logan. Just tell us a little bit about your experience working at Bloodstone, it being a new promotion. You was at the inaugural event. What was it like working with the crew, and then what was that match like? Taking on a triple threat with Alfonso and Sean.
Yeah, so two guys I've never wrestled before, but I've knew a little bit about them. Like I've been in like the Chicago indie scene now for about like 2 years. I've only really done Dreamwave, but I've known of it, and I've wrestled a bunch of wrestlers that are in that scene. So I'd like to consider myself like someone who's like up to date with that scene, and it's popping. So like I was pretty excited to share the ring with those two for the first time, and I'm also always honored whenever there's a new promotion having their debut show and they want to have me on the event. Like I don't take that for granted because it's like, oh, okay, because there's no like the first impression is always the thing that matters the most. So when you're a debut promotion and you're putting on your first show, you want that first impression for your audience to be like, "Holy crap, this is awesome. We got to come back." So it's a lot of trust that goes involved. Like there's a lot of trust involved with booking talent, especially for debut shows, because it's like, "Hey, we got to go balls to the wall for the debut event." So it's pretty cool that like I'm not even from like like there was a lot of like Chicago based wrestlers on that show. So for me to not be
Definitely.
one of them, it was pretty cool that I was even like considered. So that was cool. Triple threats, they are hectic, those types of matches. Um I did I guess quote unquote steal the win from Alfonso. So it seems like we gotta now go toe to toe, face to face, one on one to see who the better competitor really is.
I mean, with that said, what can we expect from you on your one-on-one encounter at Bloodstone's The Broken, The Beaten, and The Damned?
Yeah, I don't want to give away all the, all the tricks up my sleeve per se. But I will be busting out some new sick tricks. I got a bunch of sick tricks I've been practicing, trying to hone my craft with my sick tricks. Those usually come in handy in the squared circle, and just basically do what I always do. Just kick some butt and look pretty doing it.
I like it. I like it. Simple, simple. Alfonso's a guy I've been fortunate to have on here. I like the idea of how well, like we saw a little bit in the triple threat, but how well your styles can clash one on one. And I think it's going to be interesting when you look at the rest of the Bloodstone card. I feel like yourself and Alfonso is going to be one of the matches, if not the match, that can steal that show.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm down. Yeah, listen, my goal every show is to always put my best foot forward and like give the fans their money's worth. I never really want to half-ass anything. And I like it also helps too, like I mentioned before, like when you have a debut promotion, you don't really know what you're gonna get going into it. You could see like, whoa, this card is stacked, and then like you get there and it's like poorly run. But like this was like the best of both worlds. Like it was one of the most like professionally run, like going like post show and pre show. Like
Yeah.
yes, the show itself was sick, but also we were taken care of. We were like there was water in the locker room, little snacks and stuff like that. So like I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah. Uh Overall Bloodstone's a really cool place. I'm happy I'm there for the second show. So yeah.
You mentioned kind of working in the Chicago area here and there, especially Dreamwave. Was that your first time working in the Berwyn Eagles Club?
Yeah, I've never been there. I've known about that place for a while, and that's like one of the things now. Like I'm trying to like I don't really have any dream matches in wrestling. I just have like dream goals, and sometimes a lot of those goals are checking off like venues and stuff. Like there's a few venues I'd love to wrestle in, like the ECW arena is still the number one. Um but that was one of them too, where like it wasn't like it was like, oh my god, I have to be here, but it was like one of those ones where I'm like, oh, this is cool. I've seen a bunch of indie shows here over the years, and it was cool to finally be in that building. Um, so that was definitely really really cool. Um, and I get the hype. It is a cool looking venue. Um,
Definitely.
so yeah, and
I like
the
the
atmosphere
acoustics.
too. That was about to say the acoustics and the atmosphere too. Like it's really sick when it's like packed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My next question, usually I start off on here. I wanted to get the Bloodstone stuff in there first,
Yeah,
for obvious reasons.
yeah, of course.
But
We love you, Bloodstone.
we love you to death. Just my usual question. I mean, to do this as a podcaster, as a wrestler, as a promoter, whatever, to be in this business, you got to be a fan. You like at the heart. So with that in mind, how did you find professional wrestling? And was there something about it that like really clicked and made you fall in love with it?
Yes. I always tell people like there's nothing like professional wrestling. You can compare it to like, oh, it's like a movie, Like there's characters and there's like, like a story, but it's like no, or you can be like, oh, it's like combat sports. Like, no, it's not. I hate when people are like, oh, it's the same as like UFC or MMA. No, it's not. It's its own identity, it's its own unique niche thing. Um, I think the thing that really draws me the most to it, and this is gonna sound like psychotic, but but it's like I love the risk of it. I love the idea that I can get hurt at any second. That sounds crazy to say, but I just love the idea of uh going into war, like going into battle, and like you're not walking out unscathed, obviously, but I love the idea that my body can go through so much in general, like when it comes to like punishment and like dishing out like pain. Like I just like the feeling of walking away from something like that is pretty cool. Like I grew up with like Jackass and CKY, and they would always do these crazy stunts and stuff like that. And I like you can look at it from like this perspective of like, why would you ever want to jump out of a tree into a bush? Well, it's like because I want to see what happens, and if I walk away, I feel invincible. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what drew me to wrestling, where it's like, yo, these people are freaking crazy. Like, my favorite wrestler is Mick Foley, and it's what always like stuck out to me about him is how he would always put his body through hell, but he'd always walk away. And I just find that
Mm.
aspect of like just the human, like obviously he walked away, but like he's probably walking away in pain, obviously. But like
Yes.
the aspect of like putting your body through something and being able to walk away is such a weird but cool feeling. And it also is a test, like a mental test, a mental battle, because it's like a lot of the hardships that come with wrestling don't really happen in the ring. It comes with like outside, like you're dealing with like you know the drama of it all, but also like like the pain and like the next morning when like you wake up and like the match is over, but like you have to like get up and go about your daily routine, and like being on the road 24/7, like the mental battle is really crazy too. But like when you grind it out and you accomplish some really cool things, like it makes you feel pretty good. Like I never want anything handed to me. I always want to be working towards something and earn it. Like like you obviously, like the more like there's connections, like there's networking in wrestling and stuff like that. Like I've gone to shows to like help out and like get opportunities that way, but like when you really like work for something hard core and like put a lot of your time and effort into something and you see the results, it's a really cool feeling. So like wrestling, like it's it's one of the hardest things I tell people like in the world to do. Not everyone can do it. Like wrestling's for everyone in the aspect of like you could everyone like can be a fan of wrestling, but like it really does like I've seen a bajillion people come to wrestling training and give it a shot. And like I respect every single person that walks through the door of a wrestling school, but I've seen a lot of people walk out, and that's fine. The fact that people give it a try is so cool to me because there's a lot of people who like stray away from things because they're nervous to give it a shot or they're nervous that it's not going to work out. It's okay to fail. Like I've tried a bajillion things and failed, like when it comes to like wrestling or like content creation or just my normal life. Like but as long as you put your foot forward and go at it just for a little bit and try to attempt something, it's a success in my book. So the fact that not everyone can do it is also really cool too. And there's certain things that I can't do. I don't know how to like be an accountant. So it's like I don't know. I'm just
Exactly.
rambling now. I forgot what the original
You're
question
good.
was, but yeah.
No, you definitely answered. What made you fall in love with
I
it?
just like how different it is. It's such a unique career path.
It really is. Even like I always think it's hilarious when people ask me like what I do, and like I have a shoot job. I do landscaping and snow removal, but like I always like to say podcaster, and then the obvious question after is like what do you talk about? And it's wrestling, and you always got to go in with defensive for obvious reasons because
Yeah.
people on the outside look at it however. But I always think it's the coolest thing like I do because it's such a unique sport and unique atmosphere with such unique characters and everything's different about it. Like not one match is going to be the same. Like I mean, even if you was to map out a match the exact same as it try to mirror another one, it's not going to get the same reaction. There's always going
Yeah.
to be something different. And that's my favorite part
And you never know
probably.
what you're going to get it. You never know what you're going to get going into the show either. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I love the twists and turns aspect as well.
Definitely. But I mean, even just jumping back to Bloodstone, like we use the just the first show as an example. There wasn't one match on that card that was identical to another one.
No, it
Even
was
though
very
like
diverse.
you like we even had a hardcore match and a street fight, which most people on the outside would assume those are the same thing, but they were completely different in how they approached them. Which I mean, that's my like another one of my favorite things about wrestling is just you never know what you're gonna get. It's I probably butcher the Forrest Gump quote, but it's like a box of chocolates.
No, it's
um,
true though.
I'm interested in you're from New York. There's been a lot of great superstars and wrestlers to come from the New York area. Who are some of your biggest inspirations or favorites growing up?
Definitely Mick Foley, which is ironic because he's from Long Island. I'm from Long Island. Um,
Okay.
I loved this is a weird one. Not really weird. I don't know. I loved Shane McMahon growing up. He was one of my favorites. Like it goes
Okay.
back to what I was saying before when it comes to like the high risk stunts and stuff like that. Like being able to walk away from something so crazy that the human mind can't comprehend. Like how the hell did this guy
Definitely.
walk away from it? So those are like the two. Jeff Hardy's an obvious one. That's
Absolutely.
so like I mentioned before, I don't have any like dream matches, but that'd be obviously one like the Hardy Boys. I've luckily been able to wrestle Matt, um,
Okay.
but never like the Hardy Boys. So that'd be really sick. So like Hardy Boys growing up, I loved what made me fall in love with wrestling was like the TLC matches between the Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. So like all those guys, like all those teams I've loved watching growing up. And like even like in my later years, like guys like well when he was known as like Dean Ambrose, like John Moxley, I guess would be
Mm.
another dream match of mine. Like because I kind of like not fell out of love with wrestling, but I kind of took a break from watching it like religiously just to like focus on other aspects in life or like other responsibilities. And like I remember like watching it was the night the Shield all became WWE champion in one night, or they all were WWE champion in one
Oh, the
night.
Money in the Bank.
And
Yeah.
Ambrose won the title, and I thought that was so cool. So like those are kind of like my favorites. Notice how it's
Uh,
like all like it's all like meshing into like the same category of like hardcore aspects like of
risk takers.
yeah.
Yeah. I like the Hardys because like personally big fan of the Hardys. Love
Yeah.
Jeff, love Matt. Fortunate enough to have him on the podcast once,
Oh,
which
cool.
it was cliche because like when I started this, I made the list, like the famous list of people you'd want on, and the Hardys were at the top of it. And so just hearing people talk about how inspirational they are, it always just reminds me of that interview. And because that's something we dialed in on is before I had the interview with them, just the amount of people that you'd say who are your inspiration, and Jeff or Matt or both would come up is kind of insane. So it's cool to hear it once again and give myself a cheap plug for the Hardy Boy interview.
Oh, yeah.
um, you are, when your wrestling journey started, you started your training at probably one of the most now famous wrestling schools in the country, Create a Pro.
Oh, yeah.
How did you go about, hammering out that Create a Pro would be the school for you? I know I'd have to assume in the New York area, there's probably a ton of schools that are, possible, but what made Create a Pro just stand out to you and be the one that you had to go to?
I think the reputation of like success stories from there, like when I just first started, like, so this is before kind of like a lot of people like got signed off the like off the indies. Like MJF was just starting to like kind of like blow up on the indies. Um and that was like the one person that was kind of making headlines. But like I always take it from like, if I want to get to a certain place, I want to learn from someone who's been to that place. So for me,
Mhm.
I obviously the goal is TV. And there was no AEW at the time, but like the goal is like, TV right now. But like the goal at the time when I first started wrestling was I want to get to WWE. Like that should be the goal if you want to get into wrestling. Like if you want to do it as like a hobby, cool. But like the main goal should be TV, aka WWE or AEW, whatever. So I'm like, okay, Brian Myers obviously has had a lot of success within like the WWE system. He's been there for a while. He's learned under people like Edge and stuff like that. Like, so for me, taking that into account, I was like, okay, well, this is like the perfect person to learn from because this guy has years and years of experience and knowledge, and I want to absorb all that knowledge. He's like, this is biased, obviously, but he's one of the smartest minds in wrestling, like legit. Like, I don't know if I'd still be in wrestling or be as like good. I think I'm okay, but as good as a wrestler, if I wasn't trained at the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy, like legitimately, like even like Brian, like there's other trainers there. Like I credit Max Caster for a lot of my training, and I credit he doesn't wrestle anymore sadly, but Johnny Clash, um,
Okay.
and guys like I was trained under other people too, but like those like are the people that have taught me a lot about wrestling. So I definitely think it's like one of, if not the best wrestling school, especially like on the Northeast, but maybe in the country. Um,
Okay.
you could say it's biased, but it's true.
I mean, it has the accolades to hold it up to that standard for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, what we you talk a little bit about Brian. What's some of the best advice that you've been given, whether it was from Brian himself or even from like Pat Buck or other coaches associated with Creative Pro?
um, just you got to give it your all. You can't half-ass it. Like
Okay.
if you want to be anywhere, this goes for anything in life. Like if you want to achieve something, you can't go into it half-heartedly, like, or like half your heart's in it, half your heart's not. Like if you want something, you need to give it your all. You have to dedicate your life to it. It's such a cliche term, but it literally is so true. Like you really need to dedicate your life to whatever you want to achieve. Like I remember there was a quote I heard when I first joined from Pat Buck, and he's like, once you step foot into the world of wrestling, you're gonna not remember what life was like before it because you're gonna just have to absorb it and be around it so much. And that's so true because it's like I've been wrestling now for like 9 years, and I like obviously I know what I did before wrestling, but like it does feel like I don't know what life was like before it, like because I've dedicated so much of my time to it and
Yeah.
I've lived it. And like a lot of my like whenever I'm like daydreaming or like there's like when I'm laying in bed at night or like I'm just like driving and stuff, like my mind is wrestling like almost 24/7. And it kind of has to be. It's kind of sick and sadistic and maybe a little unhealthy, but like if you love it and you're passionate about it, it doesn't seem that way. So like you really just need to dedicate basically all of your time to whatever you want to do in life. And that's basically the number one thing that stuck with me the most. Like obviously like it's like, oh, like this is how you do your forward rolls, or this is how you do like, like certain like fundamentals, but like that's something you'll learn at any wrestling school, like, or you should at
Yeah.
least. But like when it comes to like actually like real world advice as well, just don't half ass anything. You gotta go into it with like your all.
Yeah. Which I mean, I definitely can contest it applies to everything, even podcasting. I mean,
Yeah, like you can't
you
be like, oh, I gave it a few episodes and that was fun, but like nothing's
yeah,
happened.
like
I gotta quit.
you don't
Yeah,
get
it's
the
like
200 with nothing.
you don't see results overnight. You never do unless you're a
No.
fucking freak athlete. Like there's been so many people. Like I'll give an example. Like there's two people that came in and they just like knew exactly what like wrestling was and they just picked it up immediately. It was like Chris Statlander who started a little before
Mm.
me, but I've just she's just one of those like freak athletes who gets it. Like she's had like a sun background, and then Aaron Rourke who I was there for his first day of training, and I was like even questioning like has he trained before, like it was it's like a phenomenon, like he just picked it up so quickly. So there are rare examples of someone coming in and being like, oh, they get it immediately, but for everyone else, like especially me, like you don't see results overnight. So don't get too discouraged if you're not picking something up within the first week, month, or even year. You just gotta, the more you do it, the better you should get.
Definitely. Definitely. As far as like the actual training that you did at Create a Pro, which I'm sure you never stopped learning, but like before you got to make your debut kind of training, how would you best describe how Brian and the rest of the guys at Create a Pro prepared you to get ready and make your debut match?
So everyone's different. There's never like, oh, you've reached 2 years of training and now you're on a show. It's never like that.
Yeah,
Like you could be training for 4 years, you'll never be on a show. Like they're never gonna throw you to the wolves. Um, and like something that I always like something that I've noticed is like people are kind of eager sometimes to get on shows or to have their first match. And I get it too. Like when I was training and before I had my first match, I was like, yo, I'm ready to go. Like I'm ready in my head. Like I'm never like I never want to seem too like uh pushy when it comes to like wanting something. Like I'm very in my head, like
absolutely.
I like kind of like hound myself, like, oh, you're ready, like, but like you never really want to say it out loud. But like it's different for everyone. Like Aaron Rourke, for example, I think had his first match within like 4 months. I had my first match within 10 months, and it was just like a Royal Rumble. But like you want anything, like you just want to be in front of a crowd, and that is really when you do learn. Not everything, but like that is when you start really picking it up. Is when you start having reps in front of crowds. But it's different for everyone, and they know what's best. Like they will never throw you out there if they feel like you're not ready, which I appreciate. Because like when I was like 6 months in, and in my head, I'm like, oh man, I'm ready to go. I was probably not ready to go. And I'm not gonna say probably, I was not ready to go. They knew exactly when I was ready to go. And it doesn't even mean like you're ready to go, you're gonna kill it, you're gonna have a great no, like you're ready to go to that to now you're ready to go learn in front of a crowd. And you're always learning. Um, so that's basically what it is. It's never like, oh, you've reached 1 year, or you've graduated now. Like, no, like you don't just graduate once you hit a certain time period of working. And you also have to be there, like you have to be at training like pretty consistently. Like you're never gonna get better if you're there once a week or like once every 2 weeks or even like what I'm saying, like or 2 week you're there for 2 days for 1 week and then you take a week break. Like you have to be there almost every single day that there is training. They're not there. They're not there's not training classes 7 days a week, but you have to really be dedicated to wanting to get better.
Definitely. You mentioned Max Caster earlier. Yourself, him, and Bryce Donovan formed crew called the Shook
Yeah.
Crew. I'm really interested in what went into the formation of that group, and how would you best describe your time working alongside Bryce and Max
Yeah,
as a
so
group?
we don't do that. I mean, so there's this YouTube show. It was really, 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 really popular at the time, called Grimm's Toy Show, and that
Hmm.
was in New Jersey. And we would do some of those shows because at the time Grimm was doing a few Creative Pro shows. There was like a little like mini collaboration or like mini partnership between Creative Pro and Grimm's Toy Show. it was mutually beneficial because it was like back in like 2018, 2019, it was like when it was like at its like peak. Like I know he's still doing it and still like, like putting out content, but like back then it was like fucking popping. So
Definitely.
it was like a mutual beneficial partnership where it's like, okay, Grim comes and does cap shows, like, and then we also go and do Grimm's show and stuff like that. So one day we got a car together, and like I've known Bryce and Max like from obviously training and Creative Pro and stuff like that, and like we were, like we're like training together, so like we're close, but like we were never like, oh, we should all like form a tag team together. Like it was never like, oh, wait, there's this vision. It just so happened that was the car one day. It was me, Max, Bryce, and he does not wrestle anymore. He hasn't wrestled in a while, but shout out to Big Don. Big Don was there, and he going back to like, oh, like you're ready for a match, you're not ready for a match. I was at the time starting to like get ready for like my first match or my debut match. Big Don was doing like some like promos and like managerial stuff on shows. So we did a 6-man tag with the Beach Bums, and the only person that's still wrestling out of that stable is TJ Crawford. I'm not sure if you're familiar with TJ. He's actually from
Yeah.
Chicago, which is funny. But they were like, "Oh, let's do a 6-man tag on this YouTube show." So I was like, okay, it's like Team Cap versus the Beach Bums because like we were the only like pair of three. I guess like yeah, I guess like we were the only group of three that would like be able to like wrestle a 6-man, and we just had a 6-man tag, and I don't even know where the Shakur name part came from. I think it came from literally. Well, I know where it came from, but I just don't know how we settled on Shakur. We put out a tweet, or Bryce put out a tweet saying like Grimm's Toy Show be shook, and it was just us standing there like in like a random photo, and then I guess we just one day we're like, oh, we're the Shook Crew, and then from that point on, we did a lot of Grimm's Toy Show stuff, and like I said before, we had a mutually beneficial partnership between Cap and Grimm's Toy Show. The Grimm's Toy Show stuff carried over to the Creative Pro shows. The Creative Pro show stuff carried over to other indies, and then it just blossomed from there.
I love it. I have one more Creative Pro question, just kind of to sum up the whole thing. It's really been incredible just watching you grow from tag team to the TV champion to ultimately become cap champion.
Thank you.
Looking back for you, how important was it to your career just to be able to go through those steps and work your way all the way up the ladder and to earn that shot and be the cap champion?
Yeah, so like when I first started wrestling, I never envisioned myself as like a tag team wrestler. Like I've always liked tag team wrestling. Like I mentioned before, I love the TLC matches between the Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. But I was always like, oh, like I always had visions of being a singles wrestler. Um,
Hmm.
but that definitely, uh, the path I did go on, I will never change it for anything because I once again learned so much from Max and Bryce because they were both they started before me. So then even like going back to like what I said about like you always want to like learn from people that have like been the places you want to be and stuff like that. Like being in a group with two people who were training longer than me also lended me to getting better through them because like I'd be in matches with them, I'd be in car rides with them and always learning. And I feel like I became a better wrestler by sharing the ring with those two. Um, and then like we did a lot, specifically like me and Bryce. Then we took the like Max became like Max went to AEW and stuff like that. And me and Bryce still grinded the Indies together as a tag team. We accomplished other cool things. So like we accomplished basically all we really had to or wanted to on the Indies. And then I guess he just decided one day, he didn't want a team anymore, and he left me high and dry, and then went off and did his own thing. Uh, I don't know why I did that voice, but from there, I'm like, okay, it's time to adapt and evolve. And then I went after singles gold, and like winning the Cap TV title was super cool. And then like winning the Creative Pro Championship was like a really special moment. Like I don't really take a lot of time to like let things like sink in or like enjoy certain moments, but when I finally did
Hmm.
win the Creative Pro Championship, I like sat there in the ring for like 10 seconds just looking at the belt because I remember walking in on my first day and being like so like mind blown the fact that I was in a Creative Pro ring because like I wanted to join Cap for a long time. Like I was like doing research for like 6 to 8 months before I actually joined. So like that first day walking in and seeing that Creator Pro logo and seeing the Creator Pro sign outside on the building, like blew my mind. Like, holy crap, like Bobby, you freaking did it. Like you're here and now, like obviously get to work, but like you did it. Like first step is done. So like seeing or thinking about me on my first day of training and thinking about all the like the roller coaster of a ride that led up to that moment of
Yeah.
me winning that championship, like that like felt like super cool and I was super proud of it. Like definitely one of my most proud like moments in wrestling so far.
Okay. So, I mean, if you had to pick, do you have a favorite defense of the championship? Always a
Yeah, I
tough
do.
question.
Yeah, no, I know. I have. No, I do. I do. This is such a stupid answer, but like, I had my own Creative Pro show. It was called "This
Hmm,
is Bobby Orlando's Super Duper Really Awesome Jamboree Extravaganza," and
I like it.
I booked. Thank you. I came up with it all by myself. And I booked the entire show. And one of the matches I decided to book was a basketball match where the only way to
Hmm.
win is use your opponent as a basketball. So essentially, you have to throw your opponent through a basketball hoop. And I put a basketball hoop and duct taped it to a door, and I defended the championship against Leo Sparrow successfully. Eventually, he came back in on another show and he took it away from me. But I defended it successfully that night in a basketball match, and that was probably my favorite defense of the title in a basketball match. It's in the
That's
record
so cool.
books.
I
Yeah,
like it. It's so interesting, but I like that. That's a
I'm
good
an
answer. It
interesting
wasn't what I
guy.
was expecting, but I like that. Speaking of being interesting, one of like the coolest things about you and your character is you're GOAT and you're the GOATest
Ah,
of all time. When did that come into play?
Bobby Jr. became my best friend one day when I first laid eyes on him. No, I was on a show. Well, I started calling myself the goatest of all time because I am the ghost of all time. And one day I decided, it'd be really cool if I had a little buddy with me, because I've always been a fan of Mick Foley, and he's always had Mr. Sacco by his side to aid him when need be. So one day Bobby Jr. came into my life, and I was very grateful for it. And I was on a show with it was my first like show in New England, and they had a hardcore Royal Rumble match where I did not know this going into it. I thought it was just a Royal Rumble, and they're like, no, no, it's a hardcore Royal Rumble, so you have to come to the ring with a weapon. And I'm like, I don't have a weapon, but I have a goat that I started using in my wrestling promos, and I never intended to use him in a match so soon. Um, but we all got to learn somehow, and he learned on the job that night when I brought him to the ring and started whacking people in the head with him. That's how I implemented him in the beginning, and I've always like it's just such a weird thing to say. I've always liked goats just because the word goat is so funny to me. So I just always wanted to be known as the guy with the goat. And I feel like if you go to a show and you see a guy with a goat, you're not going to forget the guy with the goat. So
Absolutely.
I just started bringing him to the ring. And he's been with me ever since.
So I mean I have to ask, seeing as how there's Bobby Jr. and you're the goatest of all goats. Have you ever played Goat Simulator?
I've been tagged in that on social media so much. No, I've never.
I figured you have.
My whole life is a
Honestly,
goat.
you should try. It's really
My
fun.
whole life is a goat simulator.
I had to ask just for the kids out there that are
Of
watching. They'd
course.
be mad at me if I
No,
didn't.
I've gotten tagged in that so
I
many
figured you
times.
have. I
Yeah,
figured. I was like, it's so
of course.
cheesy, but I got to do
No, it's
it.
okay. It's whatever. And hey, it makes me. Hey, I appreciate it because then people, whenever they think of goats, they think of me. So I guess I'm doing my job right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Something that always really fascinates me about your guys' careers is, I mean, it's one thing to start at like a training facility and grow in that promotion. What was it like for you to get out of the Creative Pro umbrella and go on to like Grimm's Toy Show and get out in the indies and try to spread your wings, um, and become the goatest of all time.
It's all good. Yeah, so that is something I always say is like you can't stay in one place and just have that
No.
be your own. You can't. Like you can't. You have to go out of your comfort zone, and it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. But you have to do the drives. You have to go to places far away. You have to go to places, you know, that aren't really like. I hate crapping on promotion. Like there are some not so good promotions on the indies. But you have to go out and learn. You have to, like, when you first start, take every single booking you can, uh take every single rep you can in front of a crowd. That's how you get better. And that's how you grow your brand, honestly. Like if you stay on one promotion, like yes, the power of social media is beautiful. You can post a clip online and people outside of your region can see it. But the only way to really grow your brand and grow your name is to do other shows. Um, like I've driven to like Indiana 12 hours, was at the show for 3 hours, and then drove 12 hours back. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you
Yep.
doing that every weekend? No. But like that's how you get better, is just going to places and learning. Even if it's not a good experience, you learn from that experience, Like there's been places I've gone and matches I've had where I'm like, wow, that was not worth my time and not worth the money and not worth just any, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like then you're like,
Absolutely.
okay, well now I know not to do that again, or now I know to, like it's just all learning experience. But like the one thing I wanted to do when I first started was make sure people see me as much as possible. So whenever I'd have a match, I'd make at least like 5 pieces of content off it. I'd make like a match music video. I'd post a few clips from the match. I'd make a promo for the match. I'd make a promo after the match. You know what I'm saying? Like I would take pictures at the show. I'd be doing anything I can to make one show and like one booking seem like I was everywhere. Like I remember having like
Yes.
I remember having like 3 matches, and like I'd be going to shows and people would know who I am. Like not like a lot, but like people would be like, "Oh, you're that Bobby Orlando guy, right?" And I'm like, "Oh crap!" Like I guess it's kind of working. Like some people are like knowing me based off of like my stuff I'm putting online. So that's another thing I would like. I'm not trying to turn this into like a seminar, but that is another thing. That is something else I'd tell people if they were asking me like, how do I like advance my indie career? I'd say like you just gotta try and put yourself in front of people's faces, aka their timelines, because everyone's on their phone nowadays. Like like we're all doing it. We're all obsessed with social media and the internet. Be obnoxious and post as much as possible. Even if you hate Twitter,
Yes.
even if you hate Instagram, even if you hate TikTok, even if you hate YouTube, you have to do it. You have to do it. Like I'm sure you're gonna make content for this podcast and post it and stuff like that, and
Yes.
promote it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just post the link and leave it like that. You can't just be like, oh, here's the link, here's my you have to tweet that it's gonna happen. Tweet when it's up. Remind people that it's up. Like you have to promote.
Exactly.
And that's also another crucial thing when promoters are booking people, like if you're not retweeting their match graphics or their show graphics, it's like, all right, you might be the best wrestler in the world, but are you super valuable to my promotion? I don't know.
It's all about something I've just learned just from my small like year and a half and being associated with the business is collaboration is probably the most important part. Like whether
Yes.
it's with you guys, whether it's with other promotions, other podcasters, the best way to get out there is for all of us to collaborate together to
Yes.
grow because rising tides raise all ships or
Yeah,
whatever
like
that
if
saying
you
is.
exactly, like I'm not saying I have the biggest following on Twitter and stuff like that, but like if you post this on Twitter, I'm retweeting it, and then like my fans will discover your podcast through that way.
Exactly.
And then like when you post, your fans will discover me through this way. So it's like, it's always networking and partnering. Like that's how you grow. And if you were to just stay in one place, like if you were to just interview the same person every week, are you really gonna grow? No. So it's the same as
No.
wrestling. If you wrestle in the same place every week or every month, are you gonna grow? No. To sum it all up.
And that's something like I try like whenever I'm doing this. Obviously, I'm trying to grow a brand because the more I grow, and then I get you guys
Yes.
on here, it just helps. And like I'm always like that's the one thing I always let the guests know is, hey, the more we can get this out here, I'll do my part. Like it's on both of us to do it. And I love it. Like, and something that's really cool is like, for instance, we've talked a lot about Brian Myers. And Brian, like when I had him on, for instance, he immediately, like not immediately, but when after I started making clips and I was posting clips, he actually took my clip, put it on the Major Wrestling Figures podcast Twitter, and shared it.
Yeah,
And I'd
right.
never had anybody do that before. And I was like, that's badass. Like
Yeah,
that's I don't want to say nobody ever do that before, but somebody at his level
the
take
extra
the
mile.
initiative.
It's the extra
It
mile.
it blew me away. And I was like, that's really cool. It gives me that extra layer of recognition that could help me help other people. And I'm a firm proponent and believer in collaborating and helping each other
Yes,
out.
100%.
um you know, just looking at your career overall, you've done a lot of great things, and I wish we could dive into all of them in an hour. But something I thought was really cool, something that's no longer around anymore, was AEW Dark. I really liked the concept. What was your experience like doing the few episodes of Dark that you were able to be a part of?
That was really cool because it was also cool because like a lot of the times I did wrestle on Dark, it would be in either Worcester, which is where I wrestle a lot and have wrestled a lot for companies like Beyond Wrestling and Wrestling Open, or like the UBS Arena, which is Long Island, where like Cap is. And like the coolest part about doing those shows is like I would hear the noise from the crowd. You know, like they're AEW fans, but like if you're in like a region where you wrestle a lot, it was really cool to feel the love and support from the people there. Like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and also it's like a whole different animal, you know, wrestling in like an indie venue compared to like a big arena. So those are always were super, super cool experiences. And I've gotten to wrestle some really cool people off those shows. Like the biggest one was probably Matt Hardy. Like that was a really cool experience. And I even got to wrestle Max on I think it was Rampage at the time. Like I wrestled on
Yeah.
a Rampage against Max, and that was like a cool like kind of full circle moment where it's like, oh cool, like a little bit of a Shakru Collides thing on AEW. So that was really cool. Like because I could have had, you know, like having a match like on a Rampage is cool enough, but like the fact that it was against like my former tag partner, like that was even cooler. So I'm very blessed, you
Do
know. I got some really cool opportunities on those.
do you guys still keep in touch? Is it like one of
Yeah.
those things like you've mentioned Chris Statlander and Max, and we've talked about Brian? Like, is it something where you guys keep in touch and check on each other? Is development and how you guys are doing in each other's careers?
I'm in contact with all of my like Creative Pro uh like everyone from Creative Pro I'm always in touch with. Like
Badass.
there's never really anyone I've fallen out of contact with where it's like, oh, I haven't talked to that person in a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we're
Yeah.
all doing our own things. Like some people are like, you know, like people are busy, you know what I'm saying, with their everyday lives, but there's never been anyone where I'm like, oh, we kind of like never talk anymore. It's like, no, we're always like, you know, we're in contact.
I hear this often about like talking to guys about their training academies and their schools and stuff. Um, just the family aspect, how leaving it, everybody feels like a unit. Is that something that you could like say is a part of the Creative Pro journey? Is just building that family and that network?
100%. It was never a and that's something I got really blessed and I'm very privileged that I had that experience. It was never like a backstabby, like, oh, well, I don't want to help you out because I'm afraid of you taking my spot sort of thing. It was more like we're all trying to make each other better. Like we all are under the Creative Pro banner. And
Mhm.
we all like, I always tell people, I don't have any tattoos, but if I were to get one tattoo, it'd be the Creative Pro logo because I hold that, like being a Creative Pro graduate is something I like hold very near and dear to me, and I'm very proud of it that I'm a Creative Pro graduate and just a Creative Pro student and just a Creative Pro alumni, like all that jazz, like because not only in my opinion is it the best wrestling school, it also has some of the best just people, you know, like
Yeah.
I I've been very lucky that a lot of people, you know, even outside of Creative Pro, like I'm very lucky that a lot of people I've met in wrestling are cool people. You know, I've never really met anyone where I'm like, I hate, like, I don't even have grudges. Like, I'm very lucky that Creative Pro is the type of place it is, because it is truly like a very special place that everyone there just wants to help each other get better, basically.
Absolutely. You've in this conversation we've talked about Wrestling Open a little bit, Bryce Donovan. You actually defeated Bryce to win the Wrestle Open Championship. How important was it to win that match and win it from him?
So that's funny. Well, not funny, but this is a little story. We've been wrestling for Beyond. We've been wrestling for Beyond since 2021, and we've always been, on shows and stuff like that. But for some reason, for one reason or another, sometimes it wouldn't work out. We're like, one year for American Rana, there was like a big storm, so it got canceled. Or like one year for American Rana, we couldn't make it. Like that was both of our first, not only American Rana, but that was our first uh main event, basically, on like a show of that magnitude. So to wrestle on American Rana and for a promotion we've been at for so long, we both hold near and dear to our hearts. Like that was another thing too. Like Beyond Wrestling and Wrestling Open have made me a better wrestler as well. Like if those shows didn't exist, I would not be where I'm at in my career. Like I've gotten so many cool matches from those places and so many cool experiences and so many cool like just everything. But that was definitely at the top. For better or for worse, I had to be against my former tag partner. It was a little bit of a tough love or a tough what's the word I'm looking for? It was a little bit of like bittersweet because it's like, oh damn,
Yeah.
you know, how cool would it have been if we main evented American Rana as a tag team? But for whatever reason, Bryce wanted to go off and do his own thing. That belt, kind of changed him. So going into that match, the motivation was take the belt off him, uh, to kind of like snap him back into reality, but also winning the belt for a promotion uh, I've worked super hard for, and to like a place I've helped grow. Like I was there for day one at Wrestling Open. Yes, just to have that moment at America Round was super special.
I'm also curious, you know, I'm pretty sure if Cage Match is correct, you're still the Wrestle Open champion, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Cage Match is synonymous for being wrong, so I wanted to double check.
Uh,
But what has been your favorite defense so far as being champion?
I really liked my match with Donovan Dijak at the last Super Show. Yeah, that was really cool. That was really fun. That's probably my favorite.
Okay. Um, just speaking of matches, moments, I always like to throw this in there. There's a lot of matches you could be proud of, or moments you could be proud of. What would you say is at the top of that list?
It might be winning the Creative Pro Championship.
Okay.
Or God, or it literally might be winning the Wrestling Open Championship. It might be either of those two matches. I,
Tied
I hate,
up.
I hate, I hate, I hate like bringing up topics, but like it might be those two.
That's perfect. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense due to the history and everything surrounding those. That perfectly acceptable answers. Um, I know you say you don't have dream matches or dream scenarios, but is there anywhere like around the world that you haven't been able to work yet that really before you get, snatched up somewhere you'd like to work?
Wyoming.
Okay. Why Wyoming?
Just why not? Nothing's out there, and I want to go there and wrestle.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna ask you one more question before I let you go, Bobby. I
You're good.
Before I do, I just want to say this has been a great time. Like I said, you got so much history to talk about. Hopefully, we can do another one of these, so we can zero in on some other facets of your career. But just out of curiosity, as we're recording this, we're moving into February. What are your biggest goals for 2026? Like, where's Bobby Orlando want to be at the end of the year?
I want to grow my brand. I want to be in front of a lot of new faces. a lot of new faces. I'll keep it.
Any
I'll keep
plans
it
on how to
that.
get there?
Just keep doing what I'm
No.
doing. Just keep doing what
Okay.
I'm doing
Okay.
and keep the pedal to the metal. I'll keep it that. I don't like speaking. Uh, like obviously I'm a big manifester. I like manifesting things, but I'm a very
Okay.
private manifester where I manifest things in private. Um,
I respect it.
so I'll keep it that subtle.
Okay. With that said, Bobby, I'm excited to see you at Bloodstones, the Broken, the Beaten, and the Damned. I'm excited to see what you and Alfonso have in store for us and what you have in store for us in 2026. Um,
I think we have to end it here, but yes,
you're
I've had a
good.
great time,
You're
sir.
good. I'll end it off at Bobby. Thank you. I can't wait to do another one of these. If that's on the table, just let me know. We'll make it happen.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
Of course, I will let. I'll talk to you soon, and leave this. See you next time.
All right, take it easy, though.